Hey, what's going on, guys? Miko Riviera here, and today I want to take another break from doing vlogs and talk about another movie that's possibly considered horror. Now, if any of you guys watching this have not yet seen my video on Is Jurassic Park considered a horror movie, I highly recommend that you go check out my channel, Miko Riviera Vlogs, and watch that video and also the other videos I've done. So if you have not done so already, you can go do that. But anyway, moving on to the video. So you're probably wondering what movie we're going to discuss and determine whether it's a horror movie or not. Well, that movie now is considered a cult classic, coming out 32 years ago, all the way back in 1984. That movie, of course, is the Joe Dante classic Gremlins. Now, like I said, Joe Dante directed Gremlins in 1984, but, however, the executive producer of Gremlins, Steven Spielberg, would later go on to direct Jurassic Park 9 years later in 1993. In case any of you didn't want to do the math, I did it for you. You're welcome. But anyway, you're probably wondering, Miko, how is Gremlins considered horror? Well, trust me, we'll get to that. But, first of all, according to IMDb, or Internet Movie Database, in case anyone did not know what that website's acronym name stands for, IMDb categorizes Gremlins as a sort of comedy, thriller, and fantasy. But technically, it can also be horror as well. Now, for that reason, it's horror is because it's incredibly dark, frightening, bloody, gory, and violent for a film that's only rated PG. Yeah, surprisingly enough, Gremlins is only PG, not PG-13, and not R. Now you're probably wondering, well, Miko, why wasn't it rated R or at least PG-13? Well, I'll explain why it wasn't rated PG-13 first. The reason Gremlins wasn't rated PG-13 is because simply PG-13 didn't exist yet. So PG-13 existed in late 1984, early 1985. Gremlins came out in June 1984, so the middle of 1984, before PG-13 was created. Now, of course, Gremlins is obviously too bloody, violent, and frightening to be G, but it wasn't bloody, gory, and frightening enough to receive an R rating. And thinking that it should have been R, well, it's surprisingly not. But it was one of the movies that in 1984 sparked the PG-13 rating. The other movie was one of my favorite films, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Now, if you guys don't know, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is the second movie in the Indiana Jones franchise. Obviously, the first one is Raiders of the Lost Ark, which came out 3 years prior to that in 1981. And then the third one is The Last Crusade, which came out in 1989. And then the most recent one, which in my opinion is the one that sucks, is The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which, like I said, that one, you kind of want to avoid that because that Indiana Jones movie is kind of stupid. But while we're on the topic of Indiana Jones, like I said, The Temple of Doom is the other film besides Gremlins that came out in 1984 that sparked the PG-13 rating. Ironically, that one is also PG. And you're probably wondering, well, why wasn't that film R? And some of you guys are also probably wondering, why would Temple of Doom be rated R? Well, there's actually one scene that kind of should make Temple of Doom be R in today's movie ratings. And that scene in the second Indiana Jones is one that still scares me to this day. The scene I'm talking about in the Temple of Doom is when the Thuggee and their leaders and all that are in the Thuggee cavern or like cave or whatever the heck you want to call it, and they're having their little Thuggee ritual ceremony thing, and Mola Ram, the villain in the movie, says the ritual ceremony spiritual thing, and he reaches into a guy's chest, pulls out the guy's heart, and the guy's heart bursts into flames in Mola Ram's hands. So, yeah, that was almost an R rating. And like I said, that scene still scares me to this day. And I just cover my eyes whenever I watch that scene because I cannot watch that scene all the way through. It's disturbing. But while we're also on the topic of Indiana Jones, the first one, Raiders of the Lost Ark, was actually this close to be rated R. The reason being is because the villain in Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, his head actually explodes in the end after opening the Ark of the Covenant. Now, you're probably wondering, Miko, that one, like you said, his head explodes, so that one has to be R. Well, I can guarantee it's not. It's PG. And you're probably wondering, well, Miko, how the heck did they get away with a PG rating in Raiders of the Lost Ark with a guy's head exploding? Well, the reason the special effects team got away with that is because they put a firewall effect in front of the exploding head to tone it down a little bit so it's not as intense. But it kind of still is, and like I said, Raiders of the Lost Ark was this close to be rated R. So, there's only actually 2 Indiana Jones films that are PG-13. The Last Crusade, like I said, came out in 1989, and The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which is the most recent Indiana Jones film, coming out in 2008, which, like I've also said, is the most stupidest one. But anyway, back to Gremlins. So, what can we get from this video? We can get that Gremlins is incredibly violent, bloody, and frightening for a PG, and the reasons for that is because one of the Gremlins gets stabbed with a kitchen knife, another one gets blown up in the microwave, one gets chopped up in the mixer, and another one melts, and also one gets his head chopped off, and the Gremlin's severed head goes flying into the fireplace. Which, yeah, pretty dang disturbing for a film that's PG. But, like I said, they didn't have PG-13 back then, and it wasn't scary enough to be rated R. So, with that being said, of course, yes, technically, Gremlins can be considered as not only comedy, because I'll agree, yes, there are some comedic, funny, and laugh out loud, hilarious moments in Gremlins. It can also be considered as a thriller, and technically it's a fantasy as well. Because, I mean, Mogwais, as much as we all want a little furry animal thing like Gizmo to exist in reality, they don't exist in real life, I'm sad to say. But if they did, I would definitely buy one because they are so cute. But if you were to buy one, if they did exist, don't feed them after midnight. Please, guys. But anyway, I'm getting off task. Or off topic, I should say. But also, Gremlins is PG because, you know, it's still, like I said, pretty disturbing. So, unfortunately, that is all the time we have for this video. Until next time, I'm Miko Riviera. Stay positive, dream big, and I'll see you in the next video.